Hey folks, End All Be All here, and we are back after a pretty big break. It's been 2 weeks since I've made my last video, but real life stuff happens. But it's been an interesting last couple of weeks. I took the chance to do a lot of remodding during the off week, and a lot of things are different in my account. New counters that I'm developing that I'll talk about over the next couple of videos. But just to give a quick recap of my first season, the last season I went 9-3, which I was pretty happy about. I went 2-1 in almost every single week. In the last week I went 3-0, and as a result I was in the top 500 or so, and ended up being placed in a really tough bracket in the first week of this season. Everyone was really great with amazing mods, all the toys, all the great characters, and I barely managed to squeak out a 1-2 in the first week, just because people were so good. I mean, the guy who went 0-3 in my first week, he was a 1.1 million legacy lifetime championship banner guy with who had come in the top 50 before. So it was crazy. But after that 1 and 2 week, this week we also have very decent opponents, and tough defense. I mean, that's the way it's going to go. 6-6 is going to be the norm, and if you can get 7-5 or 8-4, then you'll be rising in the ranks, very consistently. So anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about our current matchup. At the beginning, after the squish, we were at around 3,900 skill rating, and this is the fifth match that I'm recording, which is week two, match two. So we've had four matches so far. Our win rating is 2-2, so we've had 50-50 win rating so far. Let's go ahead and take a look at of this week. Let's give a brief recap of the first week that I won against Emperor Skywalker, and then we'll talk about a current match. Again, really good opponent over here. Emperor Skywalker usually keeps a tough defense, and I decided to go all out on defense. In the last couple of weeks, I've been experimenting with heavy defense, 4 to 5 GLs on defense, and in this particular case, it worked out really well. I kept C, Ray, and Lord Vader down south, along with the Bando team, and they did a decent job of holding three on the Bando team, and Ray and as Lord Vader weren't able to be taken down. And over here, I'd kept Jedi Master Kenobi. So I kept Kenobi at the top and then three GLs down below, so that they know that they have to cross the southern zone to get to see my back. So they won't touch the Kenobi, but they'll save a really good team for the Kenobi. Maybe their own JMK, or all the good Jedi to go with JML and Rey to take that out. And at the same time, they still have to deal with three GLs in the south zone. So that is what gives them less options, especially if they've kept their own JMK on defense, and forces them to make mistakes, and that's where they lose out. So over here, my dash managed to hold on. Omicron dash managed to hold on for a couple of battles, so that was great to see. JMK had a couple of battles, but they ultimately took it down, which means two good teams, which is why they struggled on the Ray and Lord Vader down south. And then at the back, I'd kept Darth Revan, but nothing else great. There's an Iden over there without an Omicron. And similarly over here at the back, my fleets were one shot, but yeah, I mean, I was able to clear, but it took a while. I mean, a lot of it, like I was running out of teams towards the end. You saw there 6 battles against the Finn team, couple of battles on Kenobi as well. I tried the snipe method of Cat, but ultimately, ended up dropping tons of battles and got a little below 1600. But a full clear is a full clear, so that was a victory. My current opponent is Leonidas. Now, Leonidas has been following me on content for a while on YouTube. It's from the guild Imperio Mandaloriano Batnor. Did reach out to me over chat, and we were chatting briefly. Really nice guy. 971K lifetime championship banners, and has reached Kyber 53 before as well. So again, great opponent and knows all the counters and all that. And then if you see, in terms of the roster, I think both of us are pretty evenly matched, I would say. He's got all the toys just like me, all the GLs, no Starkiller just like me. All the GLs, R8 on almost every single GL except for Lord Vader. I just have R9 on JML and R8 on SLKR. I think that's about it. Everyone else is R7 for me. But But yeah, but apart from that, I would say that I have a slight advantage in mods. My mods are slightly better compared to Leonidas, but otherwise, it's a pretty even roster. He's got about 500k more GP than me, but it's essentially the same, I would say. All right. Let's go into the defense. I did something pretty similar to what I did with my last opponent. I kept three GLs down south, my Sith Eternal, my Lord Vader with the Thrawn and Maul and Vader. I thought that might make the SLKR counter a little tricky, and then I went with the Rey with the BB-8, R2D2, BB-8, and then the heroes and JTR. That makes the C comp a little bit tougher to handle. So wanted to juggle things around a little bit, but pretty much the same defense down south as before. Up north, I kept my JMK again with Padme, hoping to cause some problems. Kept gas over there, and I've tweaked my modding on the gas since last season. I have high protection, high defense on gas, low health on both gas and fives because if the most popular counter against this is CLS and exposes is what does most of the damage and exposes health base. So both fives and gas have been modded for defense and protection. I think I've got 120k protection on fives, 140k on gas or something like that, and high defense. And health is extremely low, like 50k on fives, for example. So exposers do way less damage than from the CLS team than if they're modded for high health. That means it takes a while to get fives down, and if they're not able to get fives down in that one. While gas is sitting down, gas gets up again and then wreaks havoc. So that's the modding that I've gone with for fives and gas. And then I've kept my Dash Omicron team and Mon Mothma. And then at the back, I have um, I have my Darth Revan squad, and I've got Iden that I've kept at the back without Omicron, and then I've kept a Django team over here. And then ships is just the regular ships that I usually keep, Executor and Tarkin. All right, let's go take a look at my opponent's board. So they always keep. They're mostly consistent in the defense. I haven't seen the Dadbot Boba team before, but the rest of them, I've seen some version of it. There's a BAM team. There's a Grievous team, Grievous Nuke squad with BB-8. There's a Mon Mothma with a I think 260 Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, which is effectively 370 or something like that. And then down south, they've kept one GL, Rey, but usually they keep two GLs on defense, Lord Vader and Rey. So I was expecting to see a Lord Vader at the back. And then um, they've kept a couple of other squads. If the Iden squad is a new one, that's also something that I hadn't seen before. It's not an Omicron one, but it's got Relic 13 or Gear 13 troopers. So I need to see what I want to take against that. So I wanted to start with the Ray counter. Now, um, so I've kept four GLs on defense, so I have only two GLs on offense, which is going to be SLKR and JML. And I knew that Lord Vader is going to be at the back, so I could have decided to take my SLKR for the back and use JML versus Ray. But the problem was, if there's not Lord Vader, if there's any other team out there, it would be problematic for me to get it down. JML beats every single GL. SLKR not so much. They struggle a lot against Jedi Master Kenobi, for example. So I decided to save my JML for the back and decided to use SLKR against Ray. Now this one is very ugly usually. SLKR is almost always the only guy remaining behind because you can get tons of damage done, but Ray is going to whirlwind a couple of them and then ultimate the rest of them, and ultimately only SLKR is going to be remaining behind to end with just 52 banners or something like that. But banners are really not an issue for me since I went hard defense. So I decided to make sure that I finish off everyone. And then over here, Ray is under damage immunity. I still have four characters remaining behind, but not for long. Ray is going to enter ultimate soon, or do whirlwind like that, and we are going to be we're going to be left with only SLKR. So that's normal for this counter. And I was okay with low banners because it allowed me to save JML for the back. And I didn't want to, even if Lord Vader was there, I didn't want to risk the SLKR counter. It's something which is ultimately going to be nerfed or changed. So it's I wanted to use a safer bet basically. So here, my sides are gone. She's out of damage, immunity, and ultimate, and then I go ahead and do my own ultimate, 3-turn ultimate, and end the battle for 62, which is a 52 equivalent, or 57 in the old world, or 47 in the old world. Now, with the Darth Revan, I usually take in my troopers, but I've had hit and miss with troopers because my troopers are not all that high geared. And with Talon, that takes things off, especially with the Relic Sit Empire Trooper. So I decided to go with my aura counter. This one is a very reliable counter. It's the turn meter. I've clocked my bounty hunters just right with Grief going immediately after Bosk to get 2 mass assists back to back. And then even with the 30% turn meter generation, my Mando is going to be slower than both Bosk and Grief. That is extremely critical. And then I get the contract, and on Mando's first turn, I disintegrate Lord Vader, or not Lord Vader, Darth Revan, and then it's just a question of getting the rest of the characters out. The next priority is obviously Basti. I take her out, and then because I'm critting so much, you crit a ton against the Darth Revan team. Because I'm critting so much, my team is getting tons of turn meter, and I'm able to go pretty fast and pretty frequently. So it's a thick Sith Empire trooper, so it's taking a while to get him down. But now that he's down, and now that Darth Revan is down, I can stun the characters pretty easily, and it's just a question of getting Malik down, and with the one disintegrate available, Malik is taken care of, and Talon is no big deal. So I really like this counter actually better if you can afford to spend Aura, because these days she's, especially with the Zam Omicron, Aura is at a premium everywhere. She's needed to clear BAM squads, Maul squads, counter Darth Revan, even gas in some cases, and pretty much sometimes used to snipe cat as well in a JMK squad. So Zam Omicron is really rising in value these days, and I typically like to save it for the back, but in this case, I felt it was a good trade-off for Lord Revan. Now, Iden Versio, non-Omicron, but I wanted to take. This is the first time I was facing it, and I didn't really know how the mechanics would work, how strong these guys would be. So I didn't want to struggle, so I decided to take in my Jedi Knight Revan against it. And I'd like to save Jedi Revan for the back zone, especially it goes well with Ray and JML to counter a lot of other GLs. But in this case, I felt let me go ahead and use this over here. Wasn't really sure whether my troopers would get the job done or Night Sisters would get it done. So decided to just go ahead with this. There's no Omicron, so they don't get all the bonuses from the assist attacks, the turn meter generation or the protection regeneration. So it's relatively easier to take out. I'm curious to see whether this particular counter works even if the Omicron is there. Now, obviously, you can't get rid of Iden, but you have to get rid of the buffs which Iden gives them, which revives them, and then you have to get rid of the most dangerous characters one by one. So I got rid of Death Trooper first because I don't want the Death Mark messing with my revives and all that. Then I got rid of Range Trooper. Storm is Relic 5, and in a full team of troopers, he's the most difficult to take out. You'll see how, especially under Iden lead, how tough he is, how thick he is. So I leave him to the end, and I take out Magma or whoever else is there. If Shore is there, I take him out first, and then towards the end, just before I take out Iden, I take out Stormtrooper because he is thick. I mean, even with an R8 Yoda and a JKR lead with all the offense bonuses and all that, this guy is taking a while to get down. So if you decide to go after Stormtrooper first, or if you get locked behind his taunt, then I can very easily see that the team around him is going to go crazy while you try to, barely make a dent on Stormtroopers. So I think I probably needed the mark from Revan, the taunt ignore, to take out the other troopers and prevent it from going too crazy. I've heard that Night Sisters also work against non-Omicron Iden Versio troopers also, but I had other plans for Night Sisters. Now, typically, a lot of people like to save Night Sisters to use with SLKR for the Lord Vader teams, but since I've already used SLKR somewhere else, I felt a reasonably cheap team up front is Night Sisters against this particular Dooku squad. It's got B1, B2, Newt, IG. It's typically a GG squad, but with Dooku lead instead. So there's a lot of healing immunity and all of that. But it should be no problem for Night Sisters, whether it's a Newt lead or Dooku lead. Um, this particular combination, it takes a while to get down, but with Daka recovering full health, it's really not much of an issue. Every time they fall below 100% health, they do get damage immunity or healing immunity rather. Um, and tenacity down as well. But it takes a while. But plague, you just have to let plague do its job. You can see it's getting a little dicey at times with only Daka remaining behind. But there's no heal block on this team on target lock. Like if IG is there, for example, IG 100. So Daka can heal. Except if healing immunity is applied on her. So you just have to be careful that you don't do a healing ability when Daka's healing immunity is applied. But you can see over here, I'm more or less kept with a full squad at all times. Tons of stun going around and tons of damage on this team as well. But with the Night Sisters' constant revives, this is really not much of an issue. Priority obviously over here is to take B2 down first, just like in the Grievous team, because you don't want them taking tons of turns all the time, which B2 is going to allow to do. So now we just have to take out Dooku and then focus down on Newt, and then it's game over. Now Newt is a big banner stealer. He just did his big extortion thing over there, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to recover complete banners before ending, but there you see. Because my sisters are constantly falling below 100% health after a full heal, they're having healing immunity, and I'm not able to recover full banner. So if you're trying for a banner sniping team, instead of putting Newt lead, I would rather put Dooku lead, just like this, just because it gives healing immunity every time that the Night Sisters fall below and prevents you from getting decent banners. I just got like what 67 over there or 57. So at the back, as expected, there's Lord Vader with an anti SLKR comp. There's Thrawn in there and anti-trooper comp as well, because there's a very fast Gideon in there. I think my opponent mentioned in chat that he saw me using the Trooper Shakti counter once, and I think Gideon is in there to prevent that. Thrawn too. So luckily we have JML that we're going to take against that. So we can, all of that stuff doesn't matter. The anti-SLKR, anti-trooper build. We've got Maul in there as well, and we've got Hux. So let's plan out the rest of our defenses. I do want to one-shot the board and put as much pressure on my opponent as I can. So let's go ahead and take care of the Maul team. Now there's no Wat in there, so they're not going to go first. The fastest character I think was 305 or 310 or something like that, probably Maul. But I decided to take my troopers in there, especially if there's no Wat and no BAM in there. Troopers do just fine. Beskar Mandalorian um, does a little bit of a tough job with it makes the counter a little tougher, just because if he puts like he stops the turn meter train because he gets a bonus turn if some enemy goes below a certain health threshold. So if he does that and applies damage immunity, then your troopers are stuck behind a damage immune taunting tank, and with the TM generation that they do, you're not going to be able to damage him and ultimately come out of a TM loop. And BAM is then going to BAM Maul is going to go and wreak havoc. So I wouldn't try this counter personally if BAM is in the team, but there was no BAM in this team, and troopers are a pretty easy counter. So I got 64 over there against Maul. Good outcome, because the Maul is a premium team to take on offense, to take out a lot of tough characters. So this is where I see the BAM team. And against the BAM team, I decided to take my Qui-Gon Jinn. Usually I take Jedi Knight Revan over here, but Qui-Gon Jinn is a good option. And these days I've been saving, obviously Jedi Knight Anakin, but also Cam. I've been saving him under Qui-Gon Jinn. I mean, Qui-Gon Jinn with the nerf that happened, he's not doing as much damage at all. So I feel that I need Cam in there to give that extra damage boost to one-shot some of these teams because without him, I felt I was getting a little bit underwhelming results the last time I tried this out. So I decided to use Cam in there just to give that extra bonus. And Barris is good for since she's a support character and she gets a ton of extra bonus offense with Cam in there as well. I remember in my one of my last matches, Barris one shot the enemy Malik for 200k crit. So Barris is good to have in there as well, just for the extra cleanse as well, in case buff immunity gets applied on Anakin, which is not good. So here you'll see over here I'm saving my Anakin AoE. I've not done it because I want to wait for Qui-Gon Jinn to die before I do the AoE. So they're luckily or unluckily, they're going after other people, and I'm not able to get Anakin to do his AOE because Qui-Gon Jinn is not dying. They're not targeting him at all, but that's fine. It's perfectly okay. I'm just waiting for him to die. Still no AOE, and let's see. I think it's now that he does his AOE. So Jedi Knight Anakin dies, and this one, Qui-Gon Jinn dies, and look at the amount of damage which is done on the AOE. There was no offense up on Anakin, but he did have foresight, so that's double the damage. And 400k hit on IG-11 to take him out, 682k hit on Nest. So even if Nest is on the team, this is no problem at all. So I think this is going to be my next favorite counter to take against these BAM teams or DR teams. So DR is a little tricky because you can get feared or stunned. But yeah, against at least these BAM teams, I think Qui-Gon Jinn is a great option with Cam in there, of course. All right, now this Grievous Nuke Squad, it's if you can afford it, CLS is a great counter. You just delete Grievous right from the beginning. Even if it's a tanky Grievous, it should be no problem at all. You can always get back to him with CLS's round. You can just ignore taunt and go and attack him again and take him out very easily. Because there's no Magna Guard in there to give those extra bonuses like stealth and defense. Grievous is extremely easy to take out in this particular version of the squad. If there was the B1, B2 version, then it gets a little more B1, B2 Magna Guard and Newt in there, or BB-8 in there. It gets a little more tricky because Grievous gets to take a turn in that time. But in that particular combination, this is perfectly fine. Now, Mon Mothma is in there. I take Troopers usually versus Mon Mothma, but Grievous is a very good option as well because of the turn meter interruption mechanic that B2 has, and the turn meter generation mechanic that Grievous has. This is actually a pretty reliable counter. One of the main changes I made in this off week was I modded my B2 for tons of potency. All potency sets throughout, potency primary 35%, and he's at 150% potency or something like that. And this has been doing really well for me in the last 5 matches. I've taken Grievous on offense, and there's so much of debuffs which get applied, so much of target locks, and with Newt in there as well, there's the debuffs applied makes the target so soft that it makes any counter extremely smooth. So that I think is one of the better changes that I've made, which I've been really happy about, is modding B2 for tons and tons of potency. Since I'm taking an offense, I feel that potency is important. So I ended with 64 banners over there, which is a great outcome against Mon Mothma team, especially the turn meter version team. And then now I decided to go ahead and use Bad Batch. So I typically save Bad Batch for the enemy Grievous or Qui-Gon Jinn. But in this case, Bad Batch also is a really, really good counter against any Separatist squad or First Order squad like this. So there's tons of damage on the Hux team, but as long for Bad Batch, it's really not much of an issue at all. You go first and then you just control the battle with stuns and take out Sith Trooper, take out Hux, and the rest of the people will fall without them having to take a single turn. So this is a hard counter to the First Order squad, and really nothing much to worry about. The battle gets over pretty quickly. Yeah, I used to keep Hux on defense, but not anymore. I think Hux gets taken out pretty easily with a variety of teams, and I prefer to keep Hux on offense if I'm keeping SLKR on offense, especially in case I need to use the full first order squad. All right, now it's a dad bod boba team. It's a B bounty hunter team. There's really nothing much in there. There's no tank in there, and they're all pretty slow, less than 300 speed. So I decided to just go with my EP squad. I don't have Vader, I don't have Thrawn, but I do have Moff Gideon to reduce the enemy turn meter and keep the battle in control. And since I had no other use for my Treya, I decided to just chuck them in there. They also said they're going to gain turn meter as well. But effectively, any B squad like this, EP, Mara, and Vader by themselves, or Thrawn, EP, Mara, and Thrawn, you just need three characters in there to solo all of these teams. Those EP and Mara by themselves, they do so much work with shock and turn meter generation and stun and all of that you really need one other character to support them like Thrawn or Vader or even Moff Gideon to give the first mover advantage. The other two characters are just bonus, but I was not going to use them anywhere else, so I just decided to chuck them in over here. So this is a pretty simple battle. The goal is pretty simple. You just keep applying shock everywhere so that the EP keeps getting turned, and and then that's it. Treya, that's another change that I made over the off season. My Treya was G12, but given that there's so many counters that are coming out, which Treya is really important for. You need a beefy Treya. So I gave them all relics, all my Sith trio. They were G12. I've made them R3 at least. I didn't want to put any more relics, but it might be necessary later on. But look at the amount of counters that you use Treya for these days. You've got Mon Mothma in some cases, you've got Dash, Omicron Dash, you've got Iden Versio now, who definitely needs a Treya as well. And there's just so many comps over there that a beefy Sith trio team is extremely important for. So that's another major change that I made over the weekend, over the off week, and I feel that that has really benefited me a lot. Having a quick, thick Treya, Sith trio team is pretty important. In ships, the same ships that my opponent usually keeps, the same ships that I've kept on defense, both the Empire fleets. So only one battle left, which is the Lord Vader battle. And these days, what I've been using is I've been loving Jedi Master Luke with Wat against Lord Vader. Typically, I haven't used Wat a lot on offense these days since I don't keep Sith Eternal on offense anymore. And I see over here that what with Jedi Master Kenobi, Jedi Master Luke is an amazing thing because you all the damage from a Lord Vader team is focused on Jedi Master Kenobi, and he keeps shedding all of his debuffs and he keeps recovering all of this wonderful protection, and they just can't get around him. And all as long as you have one Jedi on the side to help him reach his ultimate and to get damage done, this team will take care of any Lord Vader comp which is out there. The team that I usually like to go with is Jedi Master Luke, Wat. These are essential, and I like to use two healers, Hoda and Shakti for the cleanse as well. And then I usually use Old Ben, but I had Jedi Master Luke, so I had Jedi Knight Luke, so I decided to use him. But you can even use another Jedi like Old Ben, or you don't even need to spare a premium Jedi like Jedi Knight Luke. And the main thing is just ensuring that you get to your ultimate fast and then keep healing the team, and then you keep using ability block where you clan with efflux like that, and then once you get the sides down and you get down to your own ultimate, that's the goal, to get to your ultimate as soon as possible. Once you get down to your own ultimate, pop it, and then you can very easily keep Lord Vader in control. So here you can see the presence of the other characters. I was able to take them out pretty easily. It's important in this particular counter to have R9 Lord Vader, JML. Um, if you have R8, it can sometimes work, but it won't be as smooth. But with an R9 JML, this counter is so smooth, just like butter. You very easily get down to Lord Vader by himself, and then you can keep him under control with the ability block and with cooldown reduction. And and he's not able to target anyone except for JML, and the battle is always under control. And here you can see, without him even reaching his ultimate, I was able to take him out for 63 banners, which is a pretty decent outcome against Lord Vader. So that's going to be my new go-to counter against Lord Vader. Even the presence of Thrawn, Moff Gideon, Vader, none of that matters. Maul even. I've taken out teams over there in the arena with Maul, Vader, Royal Guard, all R7, R8, pretty easily with just Wat, JML, um, Shakti, Hoda, and Old Ben. So basically the advantage is you can spare your premium Jedi like Jedi Knight Revan and Jedi Knight Luke for other squads to take out other tough squads, and use B Jedi with Wat and JML to take out the Lord Vader squad. It's extremely reliable. I've tested it countless times in the arena, and it's pretty reliable. So here you can see I just have ships left to go, and my opponent has attacked and got 1648. So dropped a couple of battles on my Django team at the south. Did one shot all my GLs. I think they kept since they kept most of the GLs on offense, 4 GLs. They did a really good job with one-shotting the GLs, but dropped a couple of battles here and there to end with 1648. So I do have some space. I have one shot the whole boat so far, so I just need to get 81 banners between both the ship zones to win. So if I one shot one of the ship zones, I just need to clear the other ships, and then I win pretty easily. So I just need to clear to win. I take in my usual malevolence counter versus the executor, and I like to take in all the geo ships. I know a lot of people like to save Sunfac for other counters, for other fleets, but I like the stun that Sunfac provides. Yeah, so you always start with the special on Houndstooth. Here it was unfortunate. It's really unlikely that Hyena Bomber gets targeted, but in my case, he did get targeted. That's the least likely outcome, least favorable outcome that you can have. But managed to cleanse him in the second turn. But he does have no protection, so he's going to be extremely weak now. And now I need to just make sure I get rid of a ship before these guys get rid of my Hyena Bomber. I call in Spy, hope that it lands on Xanadu Blood, but the taunt landed on Mandalorian, the Razor Crest, which is another unfavorable outcome. So now my goal is to try to take the Razor Crest out as soon as possible. I do have Buzz Droids with him, but look at that. The Gauntlet came in. That's a really good reinforcement as well. The Gauntlet came in and cleansed all of those Buzz Droids from Razor Crest. So I have more of the Razor Crest to go through before I exhaust his life. And these guys are targeting my Hyena Bomber and trying to take that out, and I've not taken care of a single ship right now. So I'm in a pretty bad situation right now because I need to be able to, uh, ignore taunt. But luckily, my Hyena Bomber was able to take out Razor Crest before he was able to get too much damage done. So this is an easy cleanup even if I lose, because at least Razor Crest is out. You can see over here my Hyena Bomber is already at yellow health, red health now, and now with another ship coming in, I've lost my Hyena Bomber, and I'm still far away from my ultimate. So not looking like a good outcome. I'll probably have to clean this up, but I have to take out as many ships as I can before I attempt to clean up. So I reapply Chaff over here again, still one away from my ultimate. I do have a couple of ships remaining behind. There's Ebenhawk and there's Spy. And luckily these guys have been targeting they targeted my Ebenhawk now and took him out. But, my Spy is there to save the day, save the big hit over here. Don't use it right now. And now I use the ultimate. So now, since I've got the ultimate, I can probably take out a few ships before I go down. So I immediately target the boss ship, because if I'm able to take out Houndstooth, then the cleanup becomes way, way easier, no matter what fleet it is. So after I use the ultimate with Malevolence, I always try to prioritize landing a Buzz Droids on Houndstooth and try to take out Houndstooth, at least if I'm not able to take out the other ships. But in this case, the outcome is looking pretty favorable. I was able to get rid of Houndstooth, and then with Sunfac in there, I was able to stun and control the battle. And even though another bounty hunter ship came in, because of the fact that Gauntlet came in so early, Executor hasn't had a chance to go into the Ultimate. So that actually saved me a little bit. The Gauntlet coming in early prevented, because otherwise by now Executor would have probably gone into Ultimate and I would have probably lost this match by now. But Gauntlet coming in early, even though it did screw up and killed my Hyena bomber, it did it did delay the Ultimate by a little bit and allowed me to clear the Executor in one shot, even though I had lost my Hyena bomber pretty early. And now I have my Kenobi as well, so this is going to be a pretty straightforward battle. Kenobi um, versus Empire. So I'm just going to fast forward it and uh, and show you the final result. All right, so there you go. It just took a little under a minute and a half to take it down for 73 banners, and I ended up with total of 1699. So ended up with 1699 versus 1648. So won by about 50 banners. Well, I was happy with this victory because this is a really tough opponent. Firstly, I did not expect Leonidas to clear my defenses. I thought that putting down 4 GLs, gas, DR, and BAM and all of that, it's going to make it tough to clear. But my opponent did a really good job on that. Dropped a couple of battles here and there, but I think the mod disadvantage was what really did them in. But kudos to them. Really great game. Really enjoyed it, and hope we get matched up again so you get a chance to take your revenge, Leonidas. But it was a good match, and looking forward to the other matches in this week as well. We are facing a Wolfpack member in the finals, my very first Wolfpack member. So be sure to check that out. I'll definitely record that match as well and share that. All right, that's it for this week and for this match. I will catch you guys for the finals. Take care and happy gaming.